Welcome everyone to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host Michael Pickering. That's right, Lo-Fi's and low fidelity, low quality, in your face, messy as can be global news show. Here we're going to talk about that famous question: what's going on in the world today? I hope everyone's ready because it's Messy Monday. That's right, it's time for that fast cap weekend recap. Messy Monday's weekend recap will bring you 10 fast-paced headlines from across the globe, and then a piece of humanity to send you on your way for the week. So let's get messy. The news fresh off the press. The following four stories all come from Reuters World News. We start in Morocco in North Africa. The story: Moroccan smugglers embark on long new route to ship drugs to Europe. That's right, Lo-Fi Nation, you know we here at Lofi Poli Sci like to keep you up to date with international crime and mystery, and we got a good bit of that for you today. Apparently, normal drug trafficking routes are closed to Moroccan marijuana meddlers, so they are now sending it via longer sea routes and disguising it in food and in fishing vessels. There's nothing like fishy smelling smoke to get me hungry in the morning. Yuck! Let's call this one messy. To the continent country of Australia we go. Night at the museum. Australian police arrest German student over break-in. I know what you're thinking, Lo-Fi listeners. What exactly did this international man of mystery take? A Van Gogh. A Salvador Dali. The missing text from the Dead Sea Scroll. Ha! He took a cowboy hat and selfies with dinosaurs. I think this one watched more Austin Powers than 007. Now back to North Africa and developments in our continuing coverage of the situation in Libya. The story: Libyan forces aligned with Tripoli government capture key airbase. Over the past 2 months, we've brought you continuing coverage of the conflict in Libya as the capital was under siege by opposition forces. Now it appears the international and UN-backed government is gaining ground in this conflict. We'll be continuing to bring you more as this story develops in the days ahead. To France and the Central African country of Rwanda. Explainer: the UN tribunal set up to try Rwanda genocide perpetrators. In Paris over the weekend, a nearly 25-year global manhunt for a financer of the 1994 Rwanda genocide ended as the perpetrator was finally arrested. This is another story we'll be following closely, as it is rare to see international tribunals in action. Next up, the following three stories all come from the BBC News, World and Space section. Now we go to Mexico. The story: George Armenta, Mexican journalist killed in armed attack. The journalist was under police protection when murdered, along with a police officer being murdered and another wounded. This investigation is ongoing, as it just happened over the weekend, and no one knows, as of yet, how the gunmen were able to locate and murder the journalist under police protection. We'll be keeping a close eye on this one here at Lofi Poli Sci. Now to the Middle East and Israel. Chinese ambassador to Israel found dead at home. The ambassador was 57 years old. An unnamed source said it appeared he died in his sleep of natural causes. The Chinese government has yet to comment. What do you think, Lo-Fi Nation? A case of international mystery on this Messy Monday? Write in and let me know your thoughts. To the North American continent we go, to the country of the U.S. Space plane, mysterious U.S. military aircraft, launches. After last week's reporting on NASA's space-age neocolonial policy known as the Artemis Accords, now we have a secret high-flying mission with a space plane attached to a rocket. Oh, NASA, what are you really up to in space? Is this the next level of space espionage? Can we call it spaceionage? Right in, Lo-Fi Nation. Our last three stories all come from the Associated Press International section. From the Middle East and Iran to South America and Venezuela we go for our next story. 5 Iranian tankers sailing to Venezuela amid U.S. pressure tactics. Let's bring our International Mystery Monday into the potential of piracy on the high seas, why don't we? All we know so far is that these ships from Iran, under sanction by the U.S., are going to Venezuela, also under sanctions by the U.S. Will the U.S. allow this to happen? Or will they take over these ships like swashbucklers of old in the Caribbean? Will they pull a Jack Sparrow? Or a Captain Barbossa? We'll be watching the high seas for this one for sure, Lo-Fi Nation. To East Asia we go. Hong Kong. Hong Kong lawmakers clash as pro-Beijing camp elects chair. In the legislature, the election of an important committee chair was taking place when arguments broke out between pro-democracy members versus pro-Beijing members. The pro-democracy members were ejected, and at least one even physically carried off, before the election was finalized and a pro-Beijing member was elected chair to the committee. If only they had some of that tear gas flavored ice cream we were talking about on Freaky Friday. Keep strong, Hong Kong. We're still watching. And we're still with you. And our last piece of news on this Messy Monday of international crime and mystery. A piece of humanity to send you on your way for the week, Lo-Fi Nation. To the Indian Ocean country of Sri Lanka we go. The story. Sri Lanka newlyweds cancel wedding party, help poor instead. That's right. There are good people in the world. People who decide not to party and parade, but rather walk and talk and give to those most in need. These two lovely people went amongst the poor and gave food and toys to children. They, of course, didn't have to, but they chose to. Let this be a reminder to all of us. We have a choice. We make choices every day. This week, Lo-Fi Nation, let's make a choice to help others, even if all we can spare is a smile and a thank you. There's nothing simple about acts of kindness. They're simply the greatest gift we can give to each other. And that's a brief snapshot of what's going on in the world today. Please write in with your questions, comments, or requests for countries for our news segments, or a top 10 global list you want to see to Lofi Poli Sci at planetmail.com. That's Lofi, L-O-F-I, Poli, P-O-L-I, Sci, S-C-I, at planetmail.com. Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Let me say thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, wash those hands, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off.